This episode of the What's Happening Delco podcast is brought to you by Delco Meets for Business. Check us out on Meetup, register, and attend one of our fantastic networking meetings, which we meet on the first and third Thursday at the Brick House in Ridley Park, and the second and fourth Thursday at the Upper Crust in Newtown Square. We look forward to seeing you there. What's happening, Delco? I'm Rich Shane, and welcome to the What's Happening Delco podcast. Today, I'm joined by Vince Quinn of SBX Productions. Vince, welcome to the podcast.
Rich, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure's going to be all of Delco when they find out more of SBX Productions. What is SBX Productions?
Yeah, so we are a full-service podcast production company. So we help people who want to get started because the biggest thing is like, oh, podcasting seems cool. How do I get started? Well, that's what we're here for, right? We talk with you about what the concept is. Why do you want to do it? What are you expecting to get out of it? What makes it successful? What kind of things, as a business owner, does your audience need to hear? How do you solve those problems? So we try to solve all of that up front. We give people the opportunity to do pilots. So just do one episode and see what it looks like before you commit and buy all this equipment and all this different stuff. And we just try to surround people and be a full support production team to help them build their business, their brand, whatever they need through podcasting.
What are some of those reasons right now that people are coming to you and saying, I think I'd like to start a podcast. Can you help?
Yeah, well, part of it's the versatility, right? It's such a flexible thing, and the ways to go about it are really great because I've worked on shows that are 2 minutes long and they've got all these sound effects and they're super produced and really crazy. There's shows that everybody knows that can be 2 hours long and need no production at all. So the format that you can make it pretty much whatever you want. The main tools that you really need are your voice. You can get started for free when it comes to a lot of the equipment. And when you think about as a business owner, a lot of the stuff that you want to get out of it, it's marketing, right? You're getting yourself out there. You're promoting your business. You're promoting yourself. You get those clips. You can put them on social media. You might have an account just for the show, depending on what you've got going on. You get the chance to bring people on and have those dynamic conversations, get to know them. Or if they're a customer, maybe you had a customer 5 years ago and they grew and they outgrew you and they've been doing other things. Get them back on the show, reconnect. Maybe it's an opportunity to rekindle things with a client. So for what it can do for sales, marketing, proof of concept, sharpening you as a public speaker. Just getting these reps to talk to an audience about your business and build yourself up and understand the kind of language that can be really effective in that. There's just so many things about it that are valuable. There's so many ways to go about it. And, it just comes down to managing the schedule of making it. Cause all that stuff is fun, but it's just, there's so much work behind the scenes. And again, that's why we help people manage it.
You listed so many opportunities as to why people should avail themselves to creating and having their own podcast. What are 3 blocks or where people are held up a little bit that they don't pursue doing a podcast?
Yeah, the technical not knowing how anything works with recordings, right? Think about this, right? And you know this, Rich. When you have a podcast, you have a feed, right? So you have an RSS feed and you need to distribute that feed. Not many people know how that works. You got to dig into that. That is research. That is time. Editing. Most people don't want to learn editing. Totally get that. It's exhausting. Promotion is one of the biggest things. People feel uncomfortable talking about, hey, everybody, I've got this new thing. You should listen to it, even though that's the whole point of the podcast, right? So sometimes I think the stumbling blocks are helpful, things like that. But yeah, most of it is the production. And the other side really is it's just planning. It's coming up with that idea of, okay, I want to do a podcast and what do I want to get out of it? And when people don't have that clear answer of what they want it to be, then it prevents them from getting started and trying to figure that out.
Yeah, you talk about planning and production, and a lot of times, is it content where people say, and is this something you're going to sit down with them and say, all right, we're going to construct content together? Because getting over that barrier of, Vince, what am I supposed to talk about?
Yeah, it's a big one, right? And the thing is, too, I think one of the biggest problems that people get into when it comes to doing artful conversation, right, and really making podcast content, business content that resonates with people, the more specific, the better. The more specific, the better is really the way to approach this. Because people, a lot of times, they'll think about topics as broad categories, right? So the idea of finance, and they'll just be like, okay, well, I'm a business coach. We'll talk about finance for an episode. And it's like, okay, but that's an entire pillar that has 5,000 different small things that you could talk about related to finance. You could talk about getting loans. You could talk about setting up accounts. You could talk about credit cards. You could talk about your bookkeeping. You can talk about, I don't know, like everything, right? So the more specific you can be with that information, that's the kind of stuff that you want to think about, right? It's on a broad level. What does your audience want to hear? And then what are those specific things that you can focus on episode by episode or piece of content by piece of content to show you know what you're talking about. You can help them with this further, and they should be giving you a ring.
You have a vast amount of knowledge and experience. How did you get started in the world of podcasting?
Yeah, I started. So I got out of college, and this was like 2012. I graduated. I was at Fordham University up in the Bronx. And when I was getting out of school, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I have no clue. I thought I was going to write like TV commercials, or I love stand-up comedy. I was writing jokes all the time and doing open mics here and there. Like, I had no idea. But I figured, you know what? Let me start a sports blog. I love sports. I'm a football obsessive, especially. So I started a sports blog with a couple of different friends, and I built the website from scratch. I was doing the logos. So I was doing Photoshop. I was hosting a podcast there. I was writing the articles. So, and I was kind of directing the site, like talking to other people about what they were writing, having a hockey person, a basketball person, like et cetera, et cetera. So from doing all of that, I got some experience. And then what happened was, I got a job at WIP in the promotions department. So I was going to bars and handing out T-shirts and telling people to spin the wheel. And being a podcaster and being in the building, even though I was in promotions to start, I had proof of concept. I was hosting shows. I was giving opinions about sports, and that gave me an opportunity to continue to like learn all of these nuances and sharpen it up even further by being a radio producer and host.
Through that experience and seeing that proof of concept, what have been some of your own personal aha moments to say, you know what, I'm good at this. I help people. I help them see results. What have been some of those aha moments for you?
Yeah, sometimes it was calls in the middle of the night. Like part of it was when I was a producer, especially there were new people that were coming on and learning how to do the job. And a lot of times when radio's a 24/7 business. So if you need somebody to fill some time and they're new, odds are they're going to be doing it in the middle of the night on a weekend, right? So if I'm getting a call at 3 a.m. from somebody and they're like, Vince, oh my God, I can't get the commercial breaks to stop playing. Please help me. What do I do? And I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm pretty valuable at teaching all these people. And like they believe in me as the guy to do this. And then there were other times where, yeah, if I was like hosting and I had certain segments going on, my ability to get people to understand the way that I was thinking about things and participate in the show in a way that was useful, whether that was coming up with the kinds of sound bites that I wanted to use and the kinds of like fun storylines and directions we could take it, how to cut certain kinds of audio. There was just a lot of different things in process that I was able to teach people. I think that and seeing those light bulb moments, like I spent a lot of time as an in-classroom tutor in high school and college. I just helped like 3rd to 8th graders learn any subject in the book. You can see the eyes light up. So having those kinds of moments taught me pretty early on that I could be a good teacher. And beyond that, I mean, just from the standpoint, like I hosted my first show when I was 25 on WIP, and that was essentially unheard of. There had only been one other person in the history of the station that had done it at that point. And when I finished that first show, I had mentioned at the time on the air I was 25. And my bosses told me after, they were like, listen, you can't say how old you are on the air until you're 40. And I was like, wait, I gotta wait 15 years to tell people how old I am? Like, that's crazy. And so, like, as shocking as that was, it was also, it's a major compliment, right? Like, I'm so far ahead of the curve to some degree that I had to keep it a secret. And I thought that was a big deal. So that was a major win. And, same thing, national show. I was a nationally syndicated host at 29. Like those kinds of milestones and seeing where everybody else was around me, other hosts and other producers, where I was at stage-wise, I could see I was progressing and doing it very quickly.
I mean, the fact that you still haven't reached 40, so you're still not allowed to tell people your age, that's amazing to me. You're going to help people with production. You're going to help people with editing. You're going to help them get started. And they stop and say, Vince, how do I find an audience? How do we get an audience?
Well, yeah, first commitment, right? Commitment to a topic, to an area, to a realm of expertise. Because one of the biggest things that people tend to get into, and with all content, any audience building, it's consistency, right? You're committed to something, you're into something, and you're talking about it all the time. And with that consistency, people know that when they go to you, they're going to get a certain thing. And that's what it's all about. Everybody's got this itch of like, oh, I didn't go viral after 3 posts, or I've been doing this for a couple of weeks and I don't feel like I have 1,000 followers yet. So I need to change everything that I'm doing. Let me try something else. Like, that is not the way to play this. It is commitment. It is belief. It is conviction. And if you don't have that belief in what you do, or you don't truly care and have that passion for the thing that you're talking about, people will know, because there's so many people out there that are talking about it, that are passionate, that it is apparent, right? Like, you can tell when somebody is truly in it, believes it, lives it. It's just the way that they speak, their mannerisms, everything tells you, okay, this person is fully committed. So you have to have that commitment. You have to have that consistency and the discipline to be able to stay there. And if you can do that, you will find out what your audience is, but you have to give it time.
I may be putting you on the spot here. We didn't talk about facts, figures, and statistics, or there's no expectation of that. But there are graveyards dedicated to podcasts where people started and just gave up, or life happened, or who knows what have you. How many actual podcasts are there right now?
Millions, I think. There's literally millions. And here's the fascinating thing about it, Rich, because you're 100% right. It's more graveyard. It's more dead than living, because 93% of podcasts, this is 93%, either don't make it to 2 years or 100 episodes. 93%.
Just let that sink in. Just let 93% don't make it to 2 years or to
100 episodes.
100 episodes. Now, 100 episodes sounds like a lot, Vince. Am I supposed to be doing a podcast episode every week? Or what's the consistency that you speak about that you should have a plan for to do an episode?
Yeah. So, and that's a great question, Rich. It's a great one. So a lot of times people see people doing weekly shows and feel like, hey, I should do a weekly show. And if you have the time commitment to do that, great. But if you're just getting started and you want to find out if you can do a weekly show, what I encourage pretty much everybody that I work with across the board, do 10 episodes, do a season. So see how you like it, see how the rhythm works, make sure you commit to the timing of it. If you are paying for it, whether it's me or anybody, honestly, wherever you're going, if you're getting someone to help you with this show in one way or another, make sure you can afford it. You're comfortable with that price. You feel like you're getting return on the investment. And if after 10 episodes, you don't feel like you're seeing that, then don't do it, right? Stop doing the show. Be part of the 93%. But if you've gone through 10 and you like it, then okay, how do you improve it? How do you put more behind it? Is that just doing another season? Is that doing an episode? Is that doing 15 episodes in a season? Is that bumping up to weekly? So you can do that and grow to that point, but start small with the idea that you just want to see if you like it and if it works for you. And then from there, you can keep growing the show. But even then, Rich, I mean, if you're going to go for a weekly show, the biggest thing that I can tell anybody is batch your episodes as much as you can get multiple recordings. Let's say on Tuesday mornings, you sit down and you know what? You've got 2 hours that you can dedicate each week, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Try to book people for those 2 hours. Get 2 recordings in. And if you're doing that every single week, inevitably, you've doubled your output. You can have vacations and sick days and guest canceling and all those other things, and you can still promote the show and do it each week. But if you're just expecting, hey, I'm going to record on Monday and release on Tuesday, you are out of your mind and it's not going to work. You're going to have a lot of sleepless nights.
Vince, who mentors you? Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? Now it's funny because I'm getting inspiration in so many other places. Like I've done so much on content, and as a business owner, I have to look in all these different places. I'm just reading books all the time, like different business books. So now I just started like This Is Marketing with Seth Godin. I'm getting into that. I love Pixar. There's a book called Creativity Inc., and it's from the founder of Pixar. Incredible book just about how to manage people in the creative process and growing a company. A really great book, so can't recommend that enough. But that's a lot of the stuff now that I'm looking to on the creative side, from like the X's and O's of hosting and podcasting and all those things. Everybody with the morning show at WIP, I mean, Angelo Cataldi would talk to me after shows. I would take him aside and just go, hey, Ange, can I pick your brain on this and that? and he'd give me time. If I was doing a fill-in and I was his lead-in, essentially filling in for Big Daddy Graham and Angelo, he'd give me feedback as he was getting ready for his show. He'd pull me aside during a commercial break and like go, hey, you got to fix this, you got to do that, or this was great, keep it up. So he was always a massive inspiration. Steve Trevelise, Big Daddy Graham. So like all these WIP people were incredibly great in terms of building a show and personality. Conan O'Brien is my guy. I love that guy to death. He was a big inspiration, super creative, multi-platform, still massive audience and funny and sharp. So millions of inspirations, Rich. Everybody's an inspiration.
Well, I hope what people get out of this is your enthusiasm, your energy, your desire to help people communicate, and that inspires them to take that next step. Is there anything that you want people to know more about you or SBX Productions that we haven't touched on yet?
So the one thing that I would say is we do not own your show. That we don't own it. There are some places that are networks, and what they'll say is, well, you can do the show and we'll help you record it and do the editing and all those things. But also, it's our show and it's on our feed on our network. And that is not something you should do, especially if it's your business, right? You're getting your business, your show that you're building to promote your business, and you're letting somebody else own that, right? That's not a good way to go about things. We do not like that. We fundamentally do not operate that way. Everything we do is for the customer, for the client. We want to help you out. You own the materials. It's your show. It's your podcast feed. It's your YouTube channel. If we're doing clips with you, you just want social media clips, you get the full footage. You own it. Like we're just here to help you make it and give you direction. And that is it. And if people are trying to own your thing from the jump, unless they're handing you $1 million, don't take it.
Here's that business interview question for you, Vince. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where's SBX Production going to be?
Oh my God. That's it. You asked that at a really good time, Rich, because I just partnered with a marketing agency, and we're going to be building a lot of things with them. So helping a lot of businesses in really fun, creative ways. So that is to say, my brain is completely scrambled right now for where I thought we were. If you asked me this question 72 hours ago, a week ago, I would have had this whole idea of where things were going. Now, I honestly have no idea. We talked before the show of me living in Tokyo. Maybe I'm living in Japan, Rich. I go on the honeymoon. I stay. I can work remote. Everything's great. I could be in Japan. It's Japan or Delco, I think. It's going to be one of the two, and we'll figure it out.
I think Japan has this Delco segment somewhere in a neighborhood somewhere. Well, since your brain's scrambled, let's talk cheesesteaks. And where is your go-to place for a cheesesteak in Delco?
Ooh, it's been a while, unfortunately. I've been living in Fairmount and traveling into Delco for a lot of work because I've got the studio in media. And my cheesesteak place, I used to get a place, there was a spot called Chris's Pizza in Delco in Alden. And that was right around the corner from my parents' house, like Sunday mornings. That was always my spot. Coco's always has a great cheesesteak, huge, good bread. Really like that. Have not had Delco steaks yet. So that's the one that I hear about the most and is on my list. But for now, I'd say if I was ordering from anywhere, I'm getting it from Coco's.
I think Jim Pappas of Cheesesteak Adventure would be very happy to hear you reference the bread. It's certainly something that's important and front and center for him. And I think you're the first person on the podcast that has highlighted bread. So thanks for bringing that to the podcast.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. If it's not about the bread, what are we talking about here, Rich? Come on, man.
Pizza. Let's talk pizza then. Where are you going for your pizza?
Ooh, in Delco. I mean, a slice of it's the traditional answer, but a slice of pizzas is always great. So huge fan of pizzas. It's been a while. But I just drove past it like 2 weeks ago. And my fiance is not from here. She's from North Jersey. So I'm like, I got to get you to Pika's at some point so that it's high on the list. The next one I order from Delco will be Pika's.
You are heading to media for a client doing a podcast, and you need a convenience store option. Where are you stopping, Wawa or Royal Farms?
I stop at Wawa because it's everywhere, but I need to go to Royal Farms. Wawa has lost my loyalty. Let me just say. All right. Look, we've all been around for a while. We've all seen Wawa change over the years. We know where it's gone. They've made a lot of money. I don't fault them at all. But to think that the Wawa of our youth, Rich, is the same as the Wawa of today is atrocious. Okay. They are a corporate chain like anybody else, like a 7-Eleven, and they do not own my loyalty. I'm happy to stop at Royal Farms if it is equally convenient.
Wow, Sheetz is coming, Vince.
Give me Sheets too. Bring me all the competition. I need options, Rich. I need opportunity. They do not own me the way that they used to. I was a Wawa diehard and not anymore.
How do you describe Delco to somebody who's never been here or has never heard of Delco?
Delco to me is very much America, right? Like it's got like rich and poor and left and right. It can be a purple district politically speaking. Like it's just such an interesting place because the ranges of it are very extreme at times, but there is this sort of universal community feeling of being from Delco. Like I've had times where you can travel across the country. Like, I don't know, I go to a bachelor party in Vegas or something, like whatever it is. And people ask us, oh, where are you from? And my friends will instinctively say, instead of their hometown or Philly, they say Delco. They say Delco. Like there's just this sense of pride and unity there. And I love that. So I think it's got a very distinct feeling. It is very personal. It is Philly adjacent where there is an attitude, but also a warmth when you find it. And it's just such a fun place to be. So I've always loved Delco. I love that everything is 20 to 25 minutes away, is what it feels like. It's just a very convenient thing. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about it.
You have friends or family coming in from out of town and you want to give them or take them to have that Delco experience. Where are you sending them or where are you taking them?
Oh my God. Booth's Corner is amazing. I love Booth's Corner. It's hard to get down there, but Booth's Corner, I'm a huge fan of that place. Being in Alden, where my parents still live and raised me, there's a restaurant called Stingers. That is the peak Delco experience to me. I love going there. There's a bar right around the corner from there as well, because that's like a restaurant. You can get some seafood and stuff called JT Brewski's. So all in this little section of like, let's see, Providence Road and like Oak Avenue. It's like all right there. It's pretty much all within 3 blocks of each other. You can get the main hits.
All right. Somebody coming in from out of town, you're just taking them on that 3-block tour.
We're walking and we can walk home, right? We can have some drinks and walk home. So it's a complete win for everybody.
Vince Quinn, SBX Productions, thanks so much for your time today. Look, Delco, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, and let's face it, this is national, this is worldwide, Vince can help you with your podcast. If you have an existing podcast, help you with the editing quality. He's going to help you get Joe Rogan dollars. He's going to help you do it all. But the thing you need to do first is take that first step. Vince, thanks again for your time. Thanks for being a friend of What's Happening, Delco. And we can't wait to see you broadcasting from Tokyo.
Thanks so much, Rich. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Rich. Thank you so much for being a listener to the What's Happening Delco podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn more about the people and businesses in our community. I have been a real estate agent for over 25 years, working with first-time home buyers to last-time home sellers. As a listener of the podcast, my gift to you is a complimentary 1-year American Home Shield home warranty. This is for buyers and sellers that I help. If you're looking to move anywhere in the United States, I have you covered with an amazing network of real estate agents. I look forward to hearing from you. My direct line is 215-313-3777, or you can email me at rshaneremax@comcast.net. Oh, by the way, I am never too busy for any of your referrals.